Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Tirda. I'm going to share a simple but crucial topic for anyone learning English. Homocrabs. Okay. Problem we have all been there reading a sentence then suddenly stopping because a word didn't sound right or didn't make sense in context. That's the classic trap of homocrats. Today I will break down exactly what they are, why they can be tricky, and the essence why to master them so you never get confused with them again. Okay, next definition. First, let's define homographs are words that are spelled exactly the same but they have different meanings and different pronunciations. The term comes from Greek. Homos means same and grabo means to write. It's literally written the same. You might wonder why they even exist. Well, it's all about English history. English is a massive melting pot for countries. It borrowed words from Latin or French and German language. Over time, the spellings merged, but people keep the original pronunciations to distinguish the meanings. It's okay. It's like a piece of history hidden right there in our daily vocabulary. This evolutionary process is exactly why I have to be careful because the words didn't just appear out of nowhere. They evolved from completely different linguistic roots. Number 4. Homographs or homographs versus homophone versus homonym. Next, let's clear up the confusion between homographs, homophones, and homonyms. A homograph is same spelling, different sound and meaning. A homophone is same sound, different spelling and meaning, like flower and flower. And a homonym is same spelling and same sound, but a different meaning, like a bird. But again, our focus today is strictly on homographs. Words that look identical but behave differently. I know it sounds like a tongue twister, but our focus today is strictly on words that look identical on paper, but it's very differently when we speak them out loud. Next example, live. Let's look at the real world examples. First, the word live as a verb we say live. Like I live in Pemalang, but as an adjective we say life. Like I live broadcast. I remember back in school I was watching an online concert. The host kept saying this is a live show. My brain This is a little. My brain at the time was stuck on the word live as I am living in a house. I was so confused why they call it a living living house music. It took me quite a while to finally realize that in English context changed everything. That a moment taught me English is not just about translating word by word. It's about the situation. It really opened my eyes how important it is to pay attention to the entire sentence, not just the single word. Okay, next example. Dessert. Then there is dessert as a noun is dessert. The hot scent. As a verb, it's dessert to abandon. The spelling is identical, but the stress, the emphasis on the syllable change the entire meaning. This proves that where you put the stress of the word is just as important as the letters themselves. Strategy. Context clues. So how do we master this? Homographs cannot be understood in isolation. You have to use context clues. Think of it like being the detective. When you see a word like dessert or life, you don't just look at the word, you look at the clues around it. Is there a noun or verb? Is there a verb? By acting like the detective and analyzing the sentence, you suddenly stop saying these words as tricky and start saying them as clues. It makes reading long English articles so much less stressful. Okay. Next, academic research. 2000. I actually referred an academic journal by Narvadila and Shamshu from 2024. And I found that many students struggle because they just memorize words individually. The study confirms that phonetic awareness and focusing on contextual clues are the absolute most effective ways to avoid confusion. It proves we should not just memorize definition. We have to analyze the environment of the word within the sentence. Okay. The research really emphasizes that a language is not mistake rules but ability interaction between words. Oh, okay. Next conclusion. To wrap up, homographs are definitely manageable if we train our servers to really on a context and honestly do not be afraid to make mistakes. Even native speakers sometimes pause when they see a homograph. The key is not to be perfect, but to be observant. Once you start noticing these patterns, you will see them everywhere in movies, in books, even in gaming chats. It becomes a skill that you don't even even have to think about anymore. The word on the screen may look the same, but the situation will always tell you the truth. Just look at the words around it. Determine if it's a noun or verb. At the let the sentence reveal the meaning. Using context is the best strategy we have. Okay, that's is all from me. Thank you for your time.